I'm Richard Ryan, welcome to Full Mag. In this week's episode, The Breakdown. The Breakdown is where I take your favorite parts of movies and video games and recreate them in real life. This episode, Rambo. With Last Blood coming out in theaters, I really wanted to do a video on one of my favorite parts, and that's the exploding arrows. The archery scenes are some of the most iconic parts of First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3. This sounds like a fairly easy endeavor to create an exploding projectile, but there's so many factors to consider in this process. First and foremost, safety. Projectiles like 40mm grenade launchers and RPGs use the rotation of the projode to arm it in flight, keeping the person firing it at a safe distance once it's armed. An arrow will maintain a relatively stable flight path and have to rely on the pressure to initiate the detonation. The key components to work out initially for the safety will be designing an arrow that spreads out the energy created by the release of the bow throughout the broadhead and not focused in the back so that the explosive doesn't initiate in my face. Rambo's broadhead is super heavy compared to any other on the market, so Day 6 Arrows worked out a carbon fiber solution for me on the arrow shafts to help with the weight of the aluminum broadhead. Once the arrow achieves stable flight and I get consistent velocities, I'll work with a chemist at Tripwire Operations Group to come up with an explosive formula that has a VOD suitable for my shots. The Rambo arrows are a little bit trickier than what people think. The centrifugal motion of a 40mm grenade is what arms it coming out. For these, it's all pressure sensitive, so we have to have a low enough velocity of detonation with the explosive to be able to get it to go. And the problem that I'm having with some of these arrows is I usually shoot a target bow. So I have a Matthews TRX-8 that I use, but it's meant more for, more for reps because I shoot a lot. And whenever I'm shooting an iPhone in a charging port or something along those lines, if I'm drawing on an 80-pound bow all the time, trying to hold that 100, 200 times in a day is just gonna get super shaky for me. So having a target bow, I'm able to drop the poundage, adjust the let off and everything else, and shoot it more frequently and more accurately. In no way, shape, or form am I a professional archer, so this is just what I've found worked for me really well. Plus, I'm a really tall guy and I have a really long draw. My draw is 31 inches, and most of the really fast hunting bows stop around the 30 mark. So I couldn't really get any more out of this guy. So what I'm gonna do today is see what the feet per second is on this. And so I went ahead and I got another bow. I got a PSE, and it's an 80-pound draw. So just in case this doesn't give me a fast enough velocity with such a big broadhead, I can switch to that guy. Another concern of mine is the let off or the release of the explosive. So a lot of engineering went into the actual design of the broadhead itself, because the last thing I want to do is let go of the arrow or release the arrow and it explode in my face. So I got a shooting stand that I'm gonna do some tests with the exploding arrow first and see if it blows up on the bow or if it blows up on target. There's a few things, I'm not gonna give an instructional video on it, but I've done exploding arrows in the past and a lot of people really wanted to know how it's done. I just wanna make it clear that you know, here at Tripwire, I'm gonna be manufacturing some lower velocity explosives that the typical person is not gonna have access to. So that's the main reason why I came out here to do this. You know, working with these guys and coming up with an explosive solution that's low enough but safe enough for me to be able to release from an arrow is super, super important. So the very first thing I need to do is figure out the velocity of the arrows that I'm shooting. So if the target bow is too low of a velocity, then I'm gonna switch to the hunting bow. Once I know the feet per second of each arrow, then we can adjust the explosives accordingly, and then whatever sensitive versus whatever I think is gonna be safe, we'll compensate from there. So let's do it. So if you look, it's a little bit of a difference in length, axle to axle on these guys. And forget everything that you know about Black Rifle Coffee. It's the hardest working guy in the company right there. All right, so 280 feet per second. We'll switch over to the PSE. I think the faster the velocity of the arrow, the safer we can make the explosives. So it has a higher VOD. What's VOD? Velocity of detonation, which means it takes more pressure or more feet per second to be able to get it to initiate. The reason why I'm putting a stabilizer on this one and I didn't on the Matthews is because I've shot the Matthews a lot and I know I'm accurate with it. But this is my first time shooting this one, so I want to see how consistent my groups are, what the feet per second is, and if I'm consistent with it, then I'll be confident enough to shoot some targets with it with some exploding broadheads. Oh yeah, way more than what I'm used to. Oh, that's a good group. That's 100 feet per second more. 100 feet per second more, yeah. I feel way better. Didn't get that far. And it got a little deep on there, but soft tissue, not enough to get it to go. So I'm gonna aim higher, and then I'm just gonna hit this concrete block and see what kind of frag we get out off into it. So this is super exciting because a lot of this stuff is theory-based for me, because we were working on the explosive formula for this, didn't know exactly how it would react on what types of pressure on the pressure tip to initiate the explosive. So the first go around on the ballistics gel, it slowed the velocity down too much, so all that velocity at the front on the pressure tip just kind of dissipated as it's going into the ballistics gel. So it needs something a little bit more substantial to be able to get it to go. I don't know, I feel like this is kind of boring. I think we should bring some watermelons out, and then if that works, then maybe take it to a different level and try to shoot it down off the quarry and hit a mannequin or something. So kind of TBD right now, kind of going with the flow. This is super exciting because this has been a couple of months of trying to figure things out, trying to get the arrows to fly, trying to get the velocity up there of the arrow. And so just kind of figuring out things as we go. So hopefully it turns out okay, I don't know. folks over at Tripwire, thanks for letting me have this plate carrier. I mean, without it, I don't think it would have initiated on this mannequin here. I think it needed a really rigid surface or a hard surface to be able to get that full kinetic energy behind the explosives and everything. But looks like I got a good shirt. Well, it's got a little bit of a hole in it. I got to give this plate carrier back to the Tripwire guys, but I'm gonna give this shirt away. Oh, show. So this shirt's been through a lot today. Our troll mask is still good too. So this dude's pretty good. Got a little bit of a hole there, but it'll buff out. He'll be all right with that guy. But this shirt, the female mannequin made it yet again. We got a little bit of a hole. This is a size large. So I'll give this one away in the comments. Last week's video was for a copy of Matt's book. This week, we'll just throw this shirt in here. So if you're in the US or shipping's not crazy expensive, the shirt's for you. If not, I'll just send you like some Bitcoin or something like that, because shipping be crazy going to Australia and overseas. All right, here we go. Start raffle. Winner is Dan Harvey. Right? That's what he put in there. That's great. All right, well, Dan, hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what your shipping address is and everything, and I'm gonna ship this out to you. Just so you guys know, if you don't get a hold of me in 30 days, I'm gonna give it away to someone else. So you got 30 days to get a hold of me on Instagram. I'll ship that out to you. If you're overseas, I'll ship you some Bitcoin via the internet. All right, guys, see y'all next week. Bam!
I've been trying to get creator support from YouTube for the last 2 years with no luck, so if you enjoyed this video, show the like button some love and maybe share it with a buddy. I'm not sure how long we can keep up these epic videos without sponsors, but hopefully with your support, someone at YouTube will take notice and help out.